We're over 100 days into the second Trump term. Our economics columnist, Tiana Lowe Doescher, wrote a piece in this week's issue asking how much of the economy can Trump still blame on former President Joe Biden?
Jim, when the Bureau of Economic Analysis announced inflation rose in the first quarter while gross domestic product shrank, President Donald Trump and his White House took two decidedly different tacks in responding.
We will end inflation, slash prices. We've already ended inflation, raise wages, and give you the greatest economy in the history of the world. That's already happening.
On Truth Social, Trump blamed Biden's stock market and the overhang of his Democratic predecessor, former President Joe Biden, for the, quote, bad numbers. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt boasted that the underlying numbers tell the real story of strong economic momentum President Trump is delivering. A White House memo went on to blame California wildfires for lackluster consumer spending report in January.
So he inherited an economic catastrophe, a border catastrophe, a public safety catastrophe, and a cultural catastrophe. And in every case, he has reversed those catastrophes and brought America into the new golden age.
So, how much credit does Trump deserve for the bright spots of the economy? And how much blame does Biden deserve for the downturns?
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years. I read an editorial today that this is the most consequential presidency in history. How about that?
More than 100 days into a presidency marked by more executive orders at this point than any other in history, the truth is that, for better or worse, the economy under Trump is largely Trump's economy.
In 100 days, I've taken more than 1,000 executive actions, and I could recite our accomplishments all night long.
With the one crucial and major exception that defined Bidenomics: residual inflation. On the positive side of the ledger for Trump, his administration has overseen an 8% decrease in Pentagon spending, and total federal spending saw a 5% decrease in the first 3 months of the year. Yet there are reasons to worry, notably in financial markets, where nearly 2/3 of Americans have money invested. The NASDAQ is down 12% since Inauguration Day. Then there are the looming effects of Trump's tariff regime, which haven't been fully felt yet. The shortages and price hikes that would come into effect if the White House fails to secure free trade negotiations with allied partners before the end of the 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs could prove financially dire. In an April CNN poll, 2/3 of Americans reported they do not approve of how Trump is handling inflation, a number up significantly from March. Only 35% of Americans reported they approved of Trump's tariffs, down from 39% in March. There is no question tariffs would indeed produce significant extra inflation. However, as far as it exists in the data from Trump's first 100 days, inflation is still a consequence of Bidenomics, as the White House has correctly maintained. Joe Biden raised government spending by 22%, which is the exact same amount that the CPI rose throughout his presidency. In Biden's final 100 days in office, he canceled an extra $10 billion in student loan debt and authorized an additional $380 billion in new debt through the American Relief and Social Security Fairness Acts. This accelerated spending undermined the Federal Reserve's attempts to bring inflation back down to its 2% target.
That was the economic reality that now President Trump is rescuing.
But Trump is the president, and the buck stops with him, especially when he has so forcefully exerted economic powers traditionally reserved for the legislature and done so with the express intent of remaking the U.S. economy. I'm Tiana Lowe Doescher, in for the Washington Examiner.